The wheel.
Cool.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Lore and Valor podcast. I'm Justin Watson, your host, and my guest tonight is Sam Platizky, a longtime friend of mine. Actually, my wife, Michelle, and Sam were in the same theater company in college and acted in a lot of shows together. That's where we first met. Sam is an actor, producer, screenwriter, and director, and founder of his own independent film company, Narrow Bridge Films, out of Jersey, one of my favorite East Coast states in the Union. And you should really check it out. And oh yes, sweet
Jersey.
There you go, Jersey. And we're here tonight to talk about us both being massive comic geeks. Sam is representing DC. I've got my Marvel on. Tonight we're here to talk about Moon Knight Episode 1. So Sam, since you're the guest, I'll let you kick off. What's your general thoughts about Episode 1 and the start to Marvel's latest TV entry?
I loved it. I thought it was a great start. You know, Moon Knight's not. I mean, he's got to be somebody's favorite character, but he's not mine.
Yeah.
But like, I have knowledge of the character. I've read some of the more recent runs, especially, not like in the 70s. And just like
some of the stuff when he was in the Defenders in the 90s, I think is the only real Moon Knight stuff.
I don't think I did. I think the first time I read anything with Moon Knight was probably in like the 90s Spider-Man stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he guest starred a couple times there.
Yeah.
And then, you know, in the 2000s, he started like coming in like each like Bendis had a run and like Jeff Lemire had a run. And then now that's like Max Bemis had a run and there's a new one. I forget his name, Jed McKay. And so I've been reading, but so going in with just like that knowledge, I was, you know, curious. I trust the Marvel universe. I mean, I'm wearing Superman, but the DC universe, you know me. Warner Brothers doesn't know what the fuck they're doing with that. Yeah. But I thought it was a really good start. I thought it was good for me who knows a little bit about Moon Knight. I thought it was good for people who don't know anything about the character. And longtime fans, I feel like they should enjoy it. And Oscar Isaac gave a great job as like holding the episode down.
Yeah, that's actually my first note is I was so glad for Oscar Isaac because I really like Oscar Isaac, but I haven't all the movies he's been in, there's been either I haven't loved the movie. I mean, I think we're in mostly the same place when it comes to the Star Wars sequels.
Sure.
You're a little more forgiving than I am of Force Awakens, I think.
Yeah.
But I thought I was like, oh, Oscar Isaac and a lot of actors in those movies had this great potential, but they were given this crap material to work with. And even in Dune, which I really liked, I liked that movie. There was the way, because Oscar Isaac played Duke Leto in Dune, the way his character was written, it was just a little bit off. So, in my opinion, that's really subjective, and this isn't a Dune video, so I won't get off into the weeds on that.
I would have gone with you into the weeds on it, but
well, maybe we will. We'll do a Dune video too later. But so, real quickly, like I loved Oscar Isaac's performance, but there were just a couple lines that were pretty pivotal in Dune that I think were pivotal to Leto's character. You know, they weren't badly delivered lines, but they weren't the way that the character would have actually handled the situation. Like, okay, we are in the weeds. So at one point, his master of assassins, the heftier dude with the white eyes, the Mentat, offers his resignation because Paul, the main character, was almost killed by an assassin. In the movie, Duke Leto says, if you want to apologize or something to that effect, go out and find some spies. It's this ass-chewing moment. In the book, Leto says, if it weren't for your training, Paul would be dead. Because this is the difference between the book Leto and the movie Leto in this case, is that the book Leto is actually a great, not just a good, but a great leader. And even when he's distraught, he's still there for his people and still saying the right words like a commander should. So, and again, that's such a nitpicky thing because overall that movie's really good.
Yeah.
But that false note and a couple other things made it to where like, I like Oscar Isaac, but I don't love this character. All of that to come around to say, I had no complaints with Oscar Isaac's performance or the writing he was given in this episode. I loved it. I was so happy to just be able to unabashedly love something Oscar Isaac was doing because I always knew that this guy was a good actor, and I couldn't wait to see him just take the shackles off and get out from underneath some questionable writing.
You didn't like X-Men Apocalypse?
Oh, Justin? Ivan Ooze?
Yes.
You know, I'll confess, it took me a second to realize how bad X-Men Apocalypse sucked.
Wow.
I watched it the first time and I was like, oh, that was. Oh wait, no, yeah, that was pretty bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I knew it when it was happening to me.
Yeah. Same thing happened with Phantom Menace. Actually, to me, is like I watched the whole thing and didn't realize that I didn't like it until like 2 nights later.
Oh, Phantom Menace, I didn't realize wasn't good until maybe like 5 years later or something. I held on to it, and there's still moments I love, but yeah,
Yeah, I
it took
mean,
me a
it's
while.
hard to argue with Duel of the Fates, you know.
It's beautiful, and John Williams has there's no missed notes. No pun intended with John Williams. Some of his best work is in the prequels.
Own your puns, pun fully intended. Yeah. No, yeah, like there are Star Wars movies I just straight out hate, but I'd still listen to the soundtrack, you know,
Yeah.
because it's amazing. But yeah, no, I agree with you. Oscar Isaac was a real strong point. He really carried the episode, which is good because all revolves around him.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So I will say I was probably in a similar place to you in terms of knowledge. We may have read different pieces of Moon Knight, but neither of us has read like the definitive new Moon Knight catalog.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like
not at all.
the Chris Claremont run on X-Men, where I've read like every issue of that and I can talk about it for days. It's like, yeah, I've read some Moon Knight comics and I have an idea. Yeah. I was surprised even in the early press releases to find out they were going with the Stephen Grant persona to open instead of the Mark Spector persona.
Yeah.
My understanding is always Mark Spector was the primary persona.
Mm-hmm. Same. Yeah. I was surprised, and even in the trailers, I like the trailers, but I mean, it wasn't like, I want to see, Mark Grant, like the mercenary, the origin, and we're gonna get the origin, we're gonna get to see him more, but like I was surprised, but I'm okay with it. I like the way it worked. I like what we saw. I don't know if you want to get into it yet. I liked how they handled like his flashes when he just like, blacks out and wakes up and he's like, what the fuck? I thought that was great.
Yeah,
way to introduce
great.
It all.
Even in the middle of the action sequences.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And then there's part of me that wants to see the action and like wants to see him how he got out of it, how he killed all those people or whatever. And then the other part of me is like,
bloodstained scarab. Yeah. Oh, sorry. By the way, audience, spoilers.
Yeah.
Like big spoilers for if you haven't seen episode 1. So if you haven't seen episode 1, pause the video and go watch episode 1 on Disney Plus, then come back and hang out with us. Sorry to interrupt.
No. Man, I love that stuff. That was great.
Yeah, me too. It worked really well for me. And both there's a principle of writing called abeyance, where you're holding information back, but it's not in a cheap way.
Okay.
You know, because like there's a way to hold information from the audience that's just kind of bullshit. You know, you're like, they should know. You're just not telling them.
He's being an asshole. I don't know if we can are we cursing on this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right.
Be yourself. Here, hold on. I'll make sure they know we're not for kids.
There you go. But yeah, no. They didn't do it in an asshole way.
Yeah. So, but the fact that you come in and what's the song, the needle drop when he's waking up? The first one, I forgot what song that is. It worked for me.
Yeah, me too.
Me
too.
It's not a song I know real well.
Yeah.
It's an oldies tune, but and I'm usually pretty good on oldies, but I can't remember what the title of that song.
Me too. And I could have sang along with it while I was watching the episode, but it's just I watched it yesterday. And
but it was cool. All the like the use of the medium, and you're the filmmaker, so I'll let you go off on this more than I should. But the use of the medium, just the circle of sand around the bed, the tape on the door, the less subtle restraint around the ankle, of course. But like I liked all the visual communication of his dilemma.
Yeah.
It's really good rather than it's not him telling, like, oh, I'm having problems sleeping. It's like, no. The show communicates to you, hey, this guy's got an issue.
Yeah.
It has something to do with while he thinks he's asleep. So I thought that was a great opening and great visual communication of the problem.
Yeah, definitely. I got nothing to add to that. It was great. I thought that worked really well.
Speaking of needle drops, I have to admit, as much as I love Wham, I did love that needle drop.
I'm fine with it. It was fine.
I didn't hate it because it was a great sequence.
Yeah.
But it was maybe a little on the nose for me. I'm like, okay, we get it. He would like to wake up. I understand. Which is funny because like it's another video we should do is like the history of Marvel needle drops from AC/DC and Iron Man 1 through Guardians and Thor Ragnarok and everything else. Because sometimes I think maybe most of Marvel's needle drops really work for me. This one and the one in Captain Marvel. When
Captain.
Playing, I'm Just a Girl, which fine song, but I'm like little on the nose. And
I forgot about Captain Marvel. Forgot that one happened. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. But,
it's in the middle of the road for me. Like I'm fine with it. Like,
those music needle drops, not my favorite of them. They weren't Guardians, you know.
I mean that's the gold standard, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like everyone else is kind of trying to be Guardians a little bit with their music.
Sure.
You know, even if it's not the same type of music, I feel like everyone's like, "Oh wait, that really worked. We should try to do something like that.
We should do what they did."
Yeah, exactly. Which is inevitable, but sometimes disappointing. But no, like I said, say again.
Her Suicide Squad movie. That one.
I didn't see the last one.
Good.
I heard it's a good one.
I like it. It's entertaining. Yeah.
Okay.
It's enjoyable.
I'm not against it. I just haven't gotten into it.
And Peacekeeper. It's a good follow-up to it.
Mm-hmm. I got to get HBO Max, but I have Netflix and Disney Plus and Amazon Prime. Yeah. And I haven't been through everything they have yet.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot to get through.
But yeah, no, I so like I said, it didn't ruin it for me, but I was like, I get trying to juxtapose the fun, sugary pop with the intense chase sequence, but probably would have been better with just the soundtrack, you know, just an orchestral and sound effects. Yeah. But again, doesn't really detract from it that much for me. Yeah. I thought the blending of freaky psychological horror and humor worked really well.
Yeah. And that's, again, going back to him, that's a lot for Oscar Isaacs. You know, that's a lot. That's on his shoulders, and he nailed that. And F. Murray Abraham. You know, F. Murray Abraham was Khonshu, right? That I didn't know that at first. I had to look it up, and I was like, oh, that's great. He's like, you did a great job. That's a perfect choice.
Is he an alum of Rutgers?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I met him once. You want to quickly hear my F. Murray Abraham story?
Yes, I want to hear your F. Murray Abraham story. Go ahead.
I worked at a theater company. I was selling tickets in New York for a couple weeks. I hated it. It was telemarketing, but one of the perks was we got to go to the opening of the shows. You know, the parties. And so like one Broadway opening was a show that had Bobby Cannavale in it and F. Murray Abraham and I forget who else. But, you know, I'm going around this party and they call celebrities to come in. Like Peter Dinklage was there, but I didn't say anything to him. But it was an open bar too, so I had a few drinks. And I go up to F. Murray Abraham and he's in a group of people and I just go up to him like, hey man, you did a great job in the show. And I'm pretty clearly drunk. And he's like, thank you. It was, and he's like, he said something I couldn't understand. I was like, what? And he said, it's the ensemble. It's the whole cast. And I was like, oh, okay. You all did great. And that's my F. Murray Abraham story.
Nice. You didn't tell him to play it like Salieri or anything like that?
Did not.
Good. I mean, classy. I imagine people get really tired of that.
Yeah.
I mean, Dave Chappelle quit the Chappelle show because people would shout "What?" at him.
Yeah. I was being respectful. Really cool. Yeah. But no, he did a great job. Good casting.
Yeah. No, I agree. He was a great. Oh no, the idiot's back in charge.
Yeah.
It was pretty great.
Yeah.
I love F. Murray Abraham in general. Like he's one of those great character actors in anything he's in. Even if it's bad, he's good.
Yeah.
Kind of like Dean Stockwell used to be, or there's a lot of folks like that. But Michelle was telling me that she actually attended a lecture from him at one point, and he was the one who said, "Listen, if you're a professional and you want to work harder and you want to improve, it might be a very long road, but it's not impossible to actually, succeed as a creative." And taking that from someone who comes across as more of a professional actor than a celebrity, I think that, that's heartening, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's nice. I wish I went to that. Might have been after my time.
I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, no. So F. Murray Abraham worked great. What did you think of Ethan Hawke? as the bad guy.
He's fine. He's fine.
Arthur.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Is he? I don't know if he's an original character, if he's just like a small character in the comics, or if they're just. I don't know what.
I looked it up. I'm not trying to flex nerd cred because I've never heard of him, but I did Wikipedia him.
Okay.
He's apparently like he's one of those like 70s offbeat when they were doing a lot of comics that also had Dracula in them kind of thing.
Okay.
Like this week the Avengers fight Dracula. Then Kitty Pryde is unable to repel Dracula with a cross, but can do it with a Star of David, and so forth. All those little such a twist.
Yeah.
But like back in the 70s when they were mining a lot of that quasi-gothic horror things, apparently he's a character from that era. I don't know. I've never read those comics, so I don't know a ton about him, and I don't know how much. I don't know how much is like just a kernel of inspiration, or if they're like really sticking close to something about that guy. I'm with you on the fine rating for now, but I'm like he's got a lot of affectations, so I kind of want him to be above average by the end of the show. Yeah. I'm willing to give him a shot. Sorry, go ahead.
I feel like he will be. He's a good actor and he can do it. It's like I have no attachment to the character, which is good and bad, because like if they do something completely different from the books, I won't have any idea. So
that's true.
I don't have any attachment to it. I think it's cool. Like one of the things they were talking about was when they were in the museum, they were talking about I forget the goddess's name, Ammit or something.
Yeah,
Ammit,
the crocodile-headed goddess who eats the wicked.
Yeah, and he was talking about how even her avatar betrayed her. And I thought, so she has an avatar too, like Khonshu has, Moon Knight. So she, like, I like that idea. Like the Egyptian pantheon has like their own avatars. I think that's a cool idea that I don't think I've seen in the comics. None of the comics I've read anyway.
Yeah, I was unfamiliar with it myself. Although I think that Bast from Wakanda is related to the Egyptian pantheon through some linkage or another. So I think it is tied into the cosmology of the MCU by a few links. But
cool.
I agree with you. The idea of the Egyptian gods picking a mortal avatar. I'm guessing, I don't know, but I'm guessing Arthur is her avatar.
Seems like it.
Maybe he's walking on broken glass because he's the one who betrayed her and is trying to do penance. Just spitballing. I don't know.
Yeah, that could work. Could work.
Maybe not. No, overall, I really liked it. For as far as openings, because obviously we're way too early to judge the show because it's the first episode. Where would you how do you think it stacks up for the other premieres?
I'm glad you asked that. I think you got to compare it to all the other ones that we've seen so far, and it's high. It's high on my list. I'd put it above Winter Soldier, Falcon. I'd put it above Hawkeye. I'd probably put it above almost everything except maybe WandaVision. And WandaVision is my favorite of them all so far. I think of the ones we've gotten as a whole series, I even like the ending wasn't as much as as good as I was hoping, and it didn't people's theories didn't come about. Like I didn't have crazy theories that I needed to see happen. But as a whole package, WandaVision is tight, and it's my favorite one of them all. Yeah, this could challenge it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on all of that because WandaVision is my favorite still. I feel like every other Marvel Disney Plus series has had at least one pretty serious flaw. That was that's really hard to overlook. With Hawkeye, I actually enjoyed Hawkeye as a light, fluffy, holiday, but we have a Marvel Christmas property now. Great. Yeah. Fine. They didn't really piss me off until they brought Kingpin in because and people argue about this, but I'm that's not Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin. He doesn't get punked. No. That doesn't happen. He takes Kate Bishop's head off with a car door. Is what actually happens.
And they said Hawkeye for me it was good until that last episode. Yeah, that could have been the best, but that last episode, even going back and thinking about it, I'm
I really enjoyed it. And just small things like Hawkeye having a hearing aid
Yeah.
I'm like, that's like the most logical thing I've ever seen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
And it ties into the comics too, because
Yeah,
he's supposed to be,
yeah,
partially deaf and deaf, which is
yeah,
great.
yeah. No, I loved it. They did a great job of introducing Kate Bishop, and
Hmm.
like she matters, and she's in her own way the star of the show, but she's not automatically better than Clint at
Yeah.
everything. She actually
Yeah.
needs. She's really great, and she's super skilled, but she needs mentorship because
Yeah.
she's young and inexperienced. I thought that was great.
Yeah. I loved how
Um,
they brought in Yelena too. Thought she
yeah.
was
Oh my god, that
great.
was so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the good things we got out of Black Widow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so sad about that one.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. I'm glad it
Black Widow
finally came
deserved a
out.
better
But
movie.
yeah, definitely. Definitely. What else we like? Loki was like probably the most all over the place for me because
Yeah.
like it had a good start. The ending I thought was really cool. I thought the Immortus, the whatever they want to call him,
Yeah.
was really good. And
Mhm.
then some of the variant stuff was really cool when he was meeting all the other variants. But there was like those episodes on like that planet. I was like, oh man, this is not good. You
Yeah.
know,
They
this should be
suffered
better.
hardcore from saggy middle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's the hardest part to write, as you know, and I
yeah.
know. But they really suffered bad from sagging middle syndrome. And I will say too that I basically loved it whenever Loki and Mobius were on screen
Hmm.
together.
Yeah.
Whenever it was Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston, I'm like, yeah, I'm with it. You guys are great. And I came to like Sylvie,
Hmm.
female Loki, but I will say I feel like Loki got punked a little too much. Just a
Yeah.
little bit. Like there was just a few too many times there's like, oh yeah, he's the butt of the joke in his own series. And it's like, and he can take a bit of that. That's fine. But there was
Yeah.
just a little too much for
Yeah.
me because he's
Yeah.
one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, and Tom Hiddleston did a great job. And it kind of like, I mean, I know what they're doing. I like what they're doing, but it kind of undercuts his journey from like, from Avengers to Infinity War because they're
No,
like, we want all that character development that we worked on, but we killed that guy, so we need it. We need to push it into this guy.
Sam, don't
So
worry. He watched a clip show
yeah, he did.
of all his own character development.
This
So
is
now
your
he's
life.
good.
Yeah, that's what happens. But
I
then
mean,
Winter Soldier Falcon was,
uh,
I like. There's
uh,
parts of it that I really like. There's
me too.
parts of it that are great, and then there's parts of it that are just like, come on, you're better than this. You're all better than this.
You got to do better, Falcon and the
Yeah,
Winter
you do.
Soldier.
You do. Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
But they
I
nailed the
wasn't.
costume.
Yeah, yeah, I'm all right with it. Like, and
Yeah.
I was supportive of Sam getting the shield rather than Bucky at the
Mhm.
end of Endgame. Like, I'm like, yeah, no, that makes total sense. You wouldn't give it to Bucky. He's got shit to work out.
Yeah.
Like, he can't be Captain America, at least not yet.
Yeah.
And Sam's a perfect choice if you're going to pick someone to wield the shield. But then the show was just, Sam accepts the shield at the end of Endgame, and we start with him ex post facto being like, no, actually, I do have character conflict
Yeah. Yeah.
about taking the shield, which is already what?
Yeah.
And then, honestly, some of the direct addressing of racial stuff was some of the stuff that bothered me the least.
Mhm.
Like, I didn't mind Isaiah Bradley. Like, I'm like, yeah, no.
Oh, he was great. He was one of my
Yeah.
favorite parts of the show.
That's actually a great addition, and it is a fair superheroic representation of some of the real dark shit that has happened on behest of the United States government, and
Yeah.
especially towards Black folks.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, no, that's greatly acted, very well acted. You can tell I'm a writer. But very well acted. I didn't mind the inclusion of that at all. But then you had other aspects of it where I'm like, so why is it okay for the Dora Milaje to come in and do whatever the hell they want in another sovereign country, but Captain Punchable Face is the bad guy because he does the same thing, but he actually has a mandate by international law. Like, I get that he went a little extra by taking the dude's head off with the shield, and that's pretty bad. But
yeah, on camera.
Yeah, on camera.
You're not supposed to get caught doing that stuff.
I've never. So, folks who may not know, I was in the Army for 10 years and never decapitated anyone. on camera or off. But yeah, you're definitely not supposed to film it. Well, and like that's part of the thing. Shows that Sam, I've talked to you about this, so forgive me. I know you already know this spiel, but superhero properties, whether they're comic books, TV shows, or movies, when they start, getting close to, national defense stuff with the military or intelligence agencies, it's really important, just to me personally, for them to keep the right amount of distance from reality so it doesn't kick my brain over into real world analysis mode.
Yeah.
So when you can say like, oh, this guy was in the Marines, fine, whatever, don't care. This guy was served in Afghanistan, fine, okay, cool, get it. He's supposed to be a soldier. He was a Ranger Regiment member who served in Afghanistan and won 3 medals of honor, and I'm like, oh. Oh, why did you do that?
Yeah.
Why would you do that? You didn't have to do that. If he had one,
yeah,
like that would already be like, oh, holy crap, who is this guy? Because there are people running around with 1 Medal of Honor, but there is, to the best of my knowledge, there's no one living who has received 2 Medals of Honor, and no one has received 3 ever in history. So it's like saying he can lift a bajillion pounds, or he has a genitalia the size of Oklahoma. It's just you tried to get authenticity and you went into the realm of even taller tale than superhero story. So yeah, just that sort of the show did that a lot, where it was like, oh hey, we want authenticity credit for referencing real world military stuff, but we're going to completely fuck it up and not reference it correctly.
I think they count on like their audience being people like me, who don't know shit. They shouldn't. They should have their advisors on. They should have somebody like you on set when they do stuff like that. Yeah, hey, and you're a writer.
And I write, yeah.
Yeah, that works. That's more valuable than you might think.
Disney, give me a call.
Marvel. Give us both a call.
Yes.
I don't care about Superman. Fuck Superman.
We collaborate very well.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Honestly, Sam, they did have advisors, but they were Air Force.
Oh,
so
okay.
My theory is that this was a conspiracy to make the Army look like a bunch of jackasses. I'm just guessing that the Air Force advisor was like, yeah, now say he had 3 medals and tell him not to cut his hair. The Army will love that.
I mean, they might have. Fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, I might troll the Air Force that way.
You should. You should.
Yeah, all that to say, like, there was stuff that worked really well in Falcon Winter Soldier. Like, I thought Sam and Bucky were a great buddy cop duo.
Great chemistry.
Like, I enjoyed their interactions. Sharon Carter being the broker. Was that her?
Yeah.
Little too predictable. It was so predictable. I thought they weren't going to do it. Like I was like, oh, they can't do that. It's too predictable.
A bigger surprise would have been if they didn't. Bigger twist.
Exactly. Yeah. And then just the bad guy, Carly.
Yeah.
Like they were trying to do the whole like, oh, the bad guy has a point, and I'm like, but does she though?
Yeah. No, she's a murderer. It's not okay.
We haven't seen the UN do anything anywhere near as bad as the shit she does to try to justify her reaction. Nothing. Like they're trying to solve an unsolvable problem, from the blip. And that makes it okay for her to just kill random people. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So that's what I got one of the bigger problems.
That's one of the things I got the most mad at in the scene that leads up to John Walker beheading the dude. Is I'm like, when he's in that fight and the one that gets his buddy killed, he has a pistol on his hip the whole time. And instead he chases the dude down and beheads him with a shield. I'm like, I think that lethal force actually is justified in that fight. Just shoot them. Like, have a gun, just shoot them. They're not bulletproof.
Yeah.
So that really, I'm like, because like, I'm rendered speechless by the lack of logic here. You know, because if he is a soldier, then he thinks like me, and my response is, "Am I good to shoot? No, 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 no. Oh yes, now I am good to shoot. Okay." You know, like
I don't
that's
think they didn't think that through. I think I mean, I can't be in the writer's room. I would like to be, but I think they knew like we need to have a moment where he kills somebody with the shield and gets blood on the shield. Doesn't matter how we get to that point. We just need to get to that point. And then they just did it.
and I wish writers wouldn't do that because
Yeah,
there's ways to get there.
sure.
You know, like
Yeah.
there's totally ways to get there. Have you watched Legend of Vox Machina yet? The cartoon?
No, I've heard good things, but no, not yet.
It's pretty good, but I won't go off on that tangent since you haven't seen it. But like that is one of the things as a writer that just bugs the hell out of me is when you want something really bad and you don't actually cross your I's and dot your T's to get there when you could.
Oh, yeah.
When you
Yeah.
could, you know,
Like the Snyderverse.
yeah, yeah,
Not to get into those particular weeds.
yeah.
I want the death of Superman, and I want Dark Knight Returns, and I want them now.
Yeah,
You know,
no kidding.
together. It's like in the second movie. That's it. Fuck it.
Yeah, introduce Wonder Woman while you're at it, and Cyborg.
Yeah.
Cyborg? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Who?
Well, as long as the special effects are good, no, they won't be. They'll be garbage.
Also, I want Joss Whedon to reshoot the whole thing at the last minute. Like, you just wonder, like, I get that they're doing handstands and mountains of cocaine up there, but really, like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what they're thinking. But yeah, and especially when, you know, if you and I sat down in a room and went through that whole action sequence with Walker and the terrorists and Sam and Bucky, we could block it out to where his logical option is to attack a dude with the shield.
Yeah.
But you block it out that way. You make it to where, like, oh no, that through a logical confluence of events and choices that make sense with his character, this is where he ends up. And I totally believe John Walker would take someone's head off with a shield.
Yeah.
But not if he's running away and he has a projectile weapon.
But it's the same problem with like the end too, because like you know they wanted to get to a point where Sam could like look at a camera and say "be better," and they didn't earn it. You know, it was a nice speech, but they didn't earn that moment. They wanted that moment.
Yeah, and it's so frustrating too because it's like do better, Sam. How?
Yeah,
you know, like
yeah.
I mean, like, I'm sorry, but this isn't just a case of you got to do better. It's well, we have a really complicated moral problem here. So
do we just give the terrorists everything they want?
Yeah. Oh, don't call them terrorists though. Like,
right. I forgot what they called.
Yeah.
The hand on the face thing.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Which is to say that I hope that Moon Knight doesn't suffer from like those problems. The first episode. Yeah. I don't have complaints, but you know, hopefully it goes through. And I think it will. I have confidence in it, partially because of Oscar Isaacs. And I was reading an interview with him today, and he was like, you know, I didn't sign a contract for anything after this. So maybe we'll do more, but we want to see how people react to it. We just wanted it to be this thing. We want it to be like a contained series. Maybe there'll be a second season. Maybe he'll be in the movies. But we just wanted to focus on this. And that's great. You know, I think that's great. And he was like, I gave my notes on what I wanted to do. And they were receptive. They were okay with it. Kevin Feige was okay with it. So I you know, confident. But
they should do more of that. Even Marvel should do more of that. You know, like it's actually, I think it's this isn't the No Way Home video, but I think it was a brilliant thing of No Way Home to turn the MCU Spider-Man trilogy into the Spider-Man origin story and set him back to where he can do traditional Spider-Man stories without always getting sucked up into Cosmic Avengers events. Like, I think that was really brilliant because some of I love the Infinity War saga. I think it's in action adventure cinema, it's probably the greatest achievement ever, you know, to have 23 movies, all of them at least okay, and many of them excellent. That's pretty amazing. But some of the best stories in comics don't have cosmic stakes.
No.
You know, they just don't.
Yeah.
Or even national stakes. That's actually one of my problems with Black Widow, is that they tried to make it a global problem, and I'm like, no. Like, this should be a story about if it's Natasha and her family that we didn't know existed, which is a little cheap anyway. Then it needs to be about Natasha and her family that we didn't know existed. Like,
Yeah.
You know, like there's got to be a threat, of course, but the threat should just be to them. You know,
Yeah.
not Russian Harvey Weinstein in a floating Super Mario castle.
Yeah. And villains. I mean, villains are such a. I mean, they've always been an important part of the movies since Gene Hackman played Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Since Cesar Romero was Joker. Like
Yeah.
the villains make the movie in a lot of ways, or if they don't make the movie, they improve the movie. So like that's going to be a test for Ethan Hawke. And
Yeah.
if there's any other villains, I don't know, but it's going to be a test for him because some of the best villains, like Winter Soldier's problems were the villains. Loki didn't really have an outright villain until like the last episode, maybe.
And was he
Hawkeye's,
the villain?
yeah, not really. And
Like
Hawkeye's big bad was the weakest part of the show, and it shouldn't have been. It really shouldn't have been. So like, there's a lot on Ethan Hawke's shoulders. As much as Oscar Isaacs can hold a lot, but he's got to have something to fight.
Yeah, Ethan Hawke I'm kind of mixed on him because I loved him in Gattaca. Me being the massive nerd I am, Gattaca is one of my favorite, offbeat dramas, sci-fi dramas. But I did hear what he said about comic book movies. I heard you talk. He was in the they're not really cinema camp, and they just this stuff is ruining the movies because it's all pre-digested, not creative, blah 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 blah. And I mean, I get it. There's definitely a Marvel formula. That's not a lie. But the Marvel formula doesn't prevent you from making your heavy character-driven drama movie. It's just another thing.
Yeah. I mean, look at Guardians, and like they say, like a filmmaker can't make a Marvel movie because they won't let the filmmaker put their own spin on it.
Yeah, tell James Gunn.
Guardians is James Gunn's movie, and he'll be like, I do what I want. There's some things I can't do, obviously, but I'm making my movie. The Russos, they like Winter Soldier. Civil War wasn't my favorite, but Winter Soldier, Infinity War, Endgame. Fucking amazing accomplishments. It's just amazing movies.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Did you still like Civil War better than Winter Soldier?
No.
Oh,
Civil War is low on my list.
Yeah,
Civil War is the weakest of the Russo movies for me.
I agree. I agree with that. It was funny to me because, and again, I think we've talked about this before, but for me, Civil War was the one that started way higher and dropped.
Okay.
The Age of Ultron is the one that started much lower and rose. Especially after you see Endgame, because I feel like you watch Endgame and you go back and watch both Tony and Natasha stuff in Age of Ultron, and it just gut punches you.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. But yeah, I will confess to having had some trepidation about Phase 4 and forward.
Okay.
Because I do love the entire Infinity War saga so much that the only movie I've only seen once from the Marvel Cinematic Universe now is The Eternals. I know you liked it a lot. I didn't love it. But yeah, I'm like, man, that was such a crescendo. But properties like WandaVision, like Moon Knight, it's like, okay, well, there's more here, and they at least have some creatives who know how to mine it. So
yeah,
I'm hoping they can rally and build back up to when we're seeing Fantastic Four, and then after that, the mutants reintroduced in a real way. Well, I mean, we know we're getting Xavier.
Yeah.
In Multiverse of Madness. So
we'll have to meet up again after that one too.
Oh yeah.
That's gonna be something.
We'll get all the stuff.
Nice.
Well, I feel we kind of culminated. Anything else you wanted to comment on?
I mean, like it's not even a major thing. I was just thinking, like, one of the things I saw in an article was like, Marvel just got their first, and I mean, he is like Moon Knight's. I mean, not the first Jewish superhero, but Moon Knight is a Jewish superhero in the comics, even though it's a very small part of his. It's his father was a rabbi and his family was Jewish, but he didn't really practice anything.
Yeah,
I don't know if we're going to get any of that, and I'm okay with it. As a Jewish person, I don't need to see that. If Kitty Pryde's not Jewish, I'm going to riot.
I was about to say, like,
riot.
I object that it wasn't Kitty Pryde, but still, I'm not Jewish. I just love Kitty Pryde.
Yeah, And then she better be Jewish. I don't care if Magneto's Jewish. He wasn't Jewish in the beginning. Ben
Yeah, that was a
Grimm.
retcon too.
I'd like to
But a
see
good
Ben
one.
Grimm be Jewish. What's up?
But I was a retcon, but a good one.
No, it was a great one. It was
Because
a great one.
both
It
in
made
the
sense.
comics and in X-Men First Class, Magneto Nazi Hunter was a badass storyline to follow.
Yeah, I love it, and it
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense for why he became the way he did.
Yeah.
But so that was one of the things the Fox movies did really well.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. They were really like 50-50.
Yeah, they were
Like,
almost down the line.
It's like, oh, here's Logan. One of the best movies ever, period. No need to append any adjectives. It's just one of the best movies. And then we're going to follow that up with Dark Phoenix. You're welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, let's give it to the guy who fucked up the Dark Phoenix saga the first time. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
They took 2 shots at Dark Phoenix and screwed it up both times.
I don't know. I mean, this is nothing to do with Moon Knight. I just don't know how you give the same guy the same job twice after he failed the first time.
I got nothing. Like, and isn't it crazy that the best on-screen version of Dark Phoenix is still the 1994 X-Men animated series? Still the best version of it on screen.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
I'm excited for X-Men 97. The
cartoon. Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
me too.
My kids are real excited about that because, of course, thanks to streaming services, my kids watch the cartoons I watched as a kid.
You're a good dad. Pointing at you. You're a good dad. Yeah.
Thank you, Sam. I try.
You're welcome.
No, I will confess, in a bout of insensitivity, I forgot Mark Spector was actually Jewish, but that is cool.
Yeah. I mean, so we'll see. We'll see if it's even mentioned, and I mean, Kate Bishop was Jewish too. So
yeah,
so like, I mean, but they put it in the background, and that's fine. I don't need to see my religion on screen. It's cool sometimes when you do, but
I mean, there's no reason not to include. There are quite a few Jewish folks in America. There's no reason not to have some Jewish characters.
Yeah, that'd be cool to see.
Since you have hundreds of characters in the MCU now, hashtag representation matters. Why not?
Yeah. We got a Ms. Marvel next month or in May or June or something. I don't remember when.
Not because she's a Muslim, but because of the way that preview hit me. I feel like maybe I'm not going to be the audience for that one. Like, just the teen comedy aspect. I'm an old grumpy man for that.
So what I think, and this is kind of connected to Moon Knight because it's the next one up. I think I was watching the trailer. I didn't like how they changed her powers from the comic, but I do appreciate how it has a different feel to it, and it's not just feeling like another Marvel thing. I think it feels like a teenage show. Like, if you told me like this is a Disney Channel superhero show, I'm like, cool. Let kids have a show. I'll watch it. Maybe I'll like it.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I think for that reason, I'm not rooting for it to fail by any means. I just don't know that it's going to hit me. It might. I'm going to give it a try. I give everything Marvel a try. But I'm not sure it's going to hit me. I'm not sure it's going to grab me.
That was my first thought was the same. Was like, I don't know if I'm the audience for this, but I'm going to watch it. Because Jersey City's like 3 blocks that way. So, let me see what they do at Jersey City.
So you'd be like, that's a little glamorous for Jersey City.
Well, they filmed it in Atlanta. They didn't want to film in Jersey City.
Everything's filmed in Atlanta these days.
For now.
No, that's good stuff. I hope it's good. I hope it surprises. I always hope it surprises me.
I hope everything. I hope they're all good. We're eating well right now. I was talking to a friend of mine earlier, and like when we were kids, what did we have in terms of like we were comic book fans? What did we have to watch? We didn't have like the Tim Burton Batman movies until the end of the 80s. So I was 5, I think, when that came out. But like, it seems young, but I didn't have anything before then, and I had reruns of the old Batman show, the old Superman show, Super Friends, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. And then we got Tim Burton's Batman. We got animated series Batman. We got X-Men, the animated series.
That was a time to be alive, though.
It was great. But we didn't have like the movies and the TV shows. And I would have loved that as a kid. I would have like eaten that all up. And now we're getting all of these things. We're getting Moon Knight as a TV show. It's fucking nuts.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And that, like, I lost track the number of times where I thought, oh, it'd be cool if Marvel could do that, but they can't. Oh my God, they did. Yeah. I lost count. Because I remember, I'm sure you're the same way. I remember how ridiculously excited I was for X-Men, the first
Sure.
movie.
Yeah.
And I still like that movie just fine. And some people don't understand that paved the way for everything.
Yeah.
After it,
Hold on, let me get something real. I'm gonna be right back, real quick. I just gotta go up to this TV stand that's in front of me and show you this.
Nice.
This is the 1990 Fantastic Four movie that I got on bootleg at a Yep. I got it on bootleg. It doesn't even have a label. I got it on bootleg at a comic convention in the early 90s because I needed to see a comic book movie. I wanted more comic book movies, and that was what we fucking had. Movies that didn't come out.
It's harder to get the 1990 Fantastic Four or the Roger Corman Spider-Man or Captain America than it is to get snuff films. Like, it's ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, not now because the internet, but still, that's nuts.
But yeah, that's all we had, and now we have all this stuff, and it's good. It's a good time to be alive.
And it's crazy because you have this evolution of like X-Men, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, and then Spider-Man 3 and X-Men 3 both kind of went off the rails, and then you had the period where you had kind of hit and miss stuff like the Ben Affleck Daredevil, if you remember that one. Wasn't that a gem? And then like really the superhero genre maybe looked like it was kind of on the rocks again until Iron Man. Like really just came in and such pitch perfect casting. And I think that's really what Marvel owes. I mean, the writing's good to great most of the time, but they really know how to cast characters.
Absolutely.
Really, really well. Like
absolutely.
I mean, who knew the guy from Not Another Teen movie was going to embody Captain America?
Fucking nailed it. Best Captain America, and he's the best Superman we've had since Christopher Reeves.
You're not wrong. He's not even Superman, and you're right. You're not wrong. Just like Guardians of the Galaxy is the best Star Wars movie we've had since Return of the Jedi. Yeah. So not to slobber all over Marvel schlong because I don't love everything they've done. But I can't deny what they've achieved. Like I will say, for me, Eternals was a flop. But I know you liked it.
I get it. I mean, I don't expect everybody to like everything, and I get when I was watching, I was like, I understand why people wouldn't like this one. I get it. I'm into it, but I get it.
It's like I understood the philosophical underpinnings, but as a writer, I was like, you're still supposed to give me characters with some charisma.
Yeah.
So I can latch on to them. And especially if you're a Marvel movie, because that's really where Marvel's strength is like, oh, Peter Parker is ludicrously likable.
Yeah.
Steve Rogers is ludicrously good. Tony Stark is ludicrously fun to watch. Or alternatively, incredibly dramatic and tragic sometimes. So when they had this ensemble cast, none of whom really jumped out at me. By the end of it, I was like, I get what you're trying for, Chloe Zhao, but nah. And then what really kind of pissed me off was the post-credit. Like, because I felt like it switched tones from the Eternals to try to be Guardians. They're like, hey, we're going to play an 80s song and have some humor. And it's like, that's not what I was sitting here watching.
No, it felt like that could have been directed by James Gunn, that scene. I give you that.
Yeah. And I'm not against him, but I also don't care about Harry Styles. So
me neither.
The reveal meant nothing to me except for, Star Fox. Hey, what's up, buddy?
Pip the Troll meant more to me than Harry Styles. Patton Oswalt as Pip the Troll was great. I love that.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I like that casting. That's good stuff.
About that one. So no, that's. I thought this one would be going back to Moon Knight. I thought it would be a slow build, and it has been so far. Real strong opening. I have high hopes. I even like the last action sequence. I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
The role reversal of he flips into Moon Knight mode and drags the little Anubis hound back in. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah. No, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. So I was happy with that. Because I will confess, I think that is a fair criticism of Marvel movies, that their third act climaxes have gotten a little generic in a lot of their movies. Like even WandaVision kind of fell into it. With them shooting CGI color at each other. Yeah.
It was the weakest part, but again, it still held up.
Still a great show. Yeah, still a great show. I agree with you. WandaVision is top of my list, and I really feel bad for folks who just didn't have the patience. You know, 'cause, like, dude, they're building. Like, they're built. Just keep watching. Like it's gonna get explained. Just
and people didn't like the sitcom aspect of it. I loved that. I grew up with Nick at Night. What are you guys talking about? That was part of the joy.
Yeah, the thing I heard from people is like, well, I could just go watch Nick at Night if I wanted to watch that. I'm like, no, you don't get it. Like, this is because I didn't know everything that was going to happen. I was like, this is Wanda. Like, I knew this was Wanda retreating into her own mind, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, this is Wanda.
What a beautiful scene it was. When you see beautiful scene when you see her go in the past and she's like with her family watching those sitcoms and everything like that. And Elizabeth Olsen, great performance in that. She deserves all the accolades for that. And Paul Bettany did too.
Yeah. So yeah, they were great.
Nailed it.
Having spent a lot of time overseas, like I both in Europe and a little bit of time in Korea, and I was in the Middle East for quite a while. I didn't guess the details, but I was like, this is Wanda retreating into sitcoms because our TV is everywhere. And I bet this was something she watched as a kid, and it gives her warm and fuzzies to retreat into it. Like that was my guess. And that part I got right. I didn't get every other aspect of it right, but I was like, I bet that's what they're going for.
Yeah.
And it made perfect sense to me from the word go. And then it was fulfilled really well. And frankly, even the false reveals, Ralph Boner, Paul Bettany trolling everyone, and all that stuff was like, okay, like maybe we the fans kind of had that one coming.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. Yeah. So
I think it showed like how people just build up their own like stories, and like when they don't get exactly what they thought where they were going to get,
Because it was still, I think the reason it works for that, where it doesn't work for a lot of other shows, is because it was still a good, solid story.
Yeah.
At the end of it, they didn't flub the ending, and then try to blame it on us for having unreasonable expectations. Like that bothers the shit out of me when somebody makes a crappy story and then it's like, oh well, you guys just you had your insane fan theories, and I was never going to satisfy you.
Yeah.
It's like, pick a good fan theory if you don't have a good idea.
Yeah. I hate that. I've seen that recently. I'm not going to name names. It was Invasion on Apple TV.
Which one on Apple TV?
Invasion.
Okay, I haven't seen it yet.
I'm telling you, man. There's one moment in that. There's one moment in that show where I was like, motherfucker. It's like they did that. They were like, well, you don't need to know this answer. And I'm like, you can't do that to the audience that just watched 10 hours of this.
That's your boy Abrams and his mystery box and its influence on the industry.
Oh, man. Yeah, no. Yeah, awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
Well, anyway, overall, great, strong start. To close out, would you say Moon Knight? Not yet, but so my ranking for the Marvel Disney Plus series so far is definitely WandaVision. Despite the flub at the end, I'm going to say Hawkeye because I enjoyed the lead up so much. Then Loki, then Captain America, Winter Soldier, and clear last place because of the stuff I've been bitching about. How about you?
I think so. Mm-hmm. It depends on the day. I might switch Loki and Winter Soldier Falcon, but I think that's my order right now.
Okay, cool.
But there'll be a day when I'll be like, you know what, Sam and Bucky were really cool together, and I was tired of Loki and Sylvie. So
yeah, except for and it shouldn't have worked, but I really love the last conversation with Kang or Immortus.
Oh yeah, that was great. He was great. I'm looking forward to him being in more. He's a really good actor. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he freaking. God, he killed it in that whole thing. And they presented the dilemma very well. He acted with such charisma, infinitely quotable. That was really great. But I agree with you. Sam and Bucky had great chemistry and had the show focused more on that and given them a decent antagonist.
Mm-hmm.
Rate much higher, even with me being annoyed with John Walker's arc. Not John Walker as a character, actually.
Yeah, no, he was good.
I didn't think Wyatt Russell did a bad job. There was just a lot of crappy writing to overcome, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So anyway, last thoughts before we close it out, because we're coming up on an hour, and I don't know if folks
Nice.
will give a newbie YouTube channel that much grace.
Time flies. Good start. Looking forward to the rest of it. Excited to see what comes next.
Cool,
Really.
and we'll link up here around the same time next week to talk about episode 2 and how it turned out. Links to Sam's independent film company, Narrow Bridge Films, will be in the liner notes. And you have a horror anthology about to start its award series tours. That's correct, Sam?
Yeah, festival run is starting in May at the Golden Door Film Festival. It's called Tales from the Narrow Bridge, The Wormwood Devil. It's 8 short horror films wrapped together with an anthology. And it's exciting. It's fun. Hope people can see it.
So definitely, if you're a fan of horror, definitely check that out. I also will personally recommend Red Scare and Yellow Scare. My favorite thing Sam has done. Some of my favorite comedic lines, very reminiscent of Mel Brooks, if you like that stuff. So give his stuff a try. In the meantime, that's all we have for Lore and Valor. Have a good night. Keep up the fire.